So I'm excited. I'm excited to be standing right here next to one of the celebrities of Sacramento. And she may not think so, but oh my God, she's been with the Sacramento Observer for 20 years. This is Genoa Barrow. And what I did not know, I know now, is that she is an author of a book called Daddy Issues. And it says here, Black Women Speaking Truth and Healing Wounds. And I sure want to know more about that. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so can you tell us about your background?
Yeah, as you said, I work for the Sacramento Observer. I have worked for the Observer for the last 20 years. I am the senior staff writer and calendar of events editor. And so as the local black newspaper, we cover issues of concern to the black community. And as calendar editor, I coordinate the calendar of events, people showcasing events such as Black Expo, letting folks, the community know to come and support, the events that they have going on in the community.
So, before we move on to what we came here to talk about, if you tell you have the event calendar, how does somebody who say, "Oh my God, I got really cool things," how do they contact you?
Mm-hmm. We do have a submissions policy, but basically, because we're a weekly newspaper, give us 3 weeks notice, but you can email me at events@sacobserver.com, events@sacobserver.com.
Wonderful. And so now, getting back to daddy issues, and who doesn't have daddy issues? I mean, it's funny because I didn't even have a daddy that I knew of.
Yeah.
And that created a whole bunch of daddy issues for me. Okay, exactly. So how did you get the idea to write this book, and reading it, what would we find in these pages?
Well, actually, it's funny. I showed Barry the other day, Barry Axius. He and some others, Les Simmons, who has a booth right here, he's running for city council. They had an event, and it was called Unprotected last year, and it was in the wake of the killing of a young girl in the Bay Area when someone unexpectedly slit her throat. And so they had a session called Unprotected, and it was about the different ways that black women feel unprotected, sometimes even from, black men. And so I was covering that as a story for the Observer, and a young lady stood up. They had an exercise for participants, and they asked us to fill in truth is ... and we were to finish that what that truth whatever truth you want to share. And a young woman stood up and shared that she had been sexually assaulted, and no one believed her, not even her own mother, because of some past promiscuity on her part. And she said, she shared that, which was enough, and there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But her truth was ... I wish my father was still in my life. And so that just, as a mother, that weighed on me. And having my own, never having met my own father. And so by the time I got home from South Sacramento Christian Center, where Les Simmons is the pastor, from that time to going home, I was like, there has to be something, that we can do to share. There are folks that are broken, and so how can we start putting those pieces back together? And so by the time I got home, the idea for Daddy Issues was born.
And so, if someone were to, when someone picks up this book,
okay,
and reads it,
okay,
what will they learn?
Okay, well, the title of the book is Daddy Issues: Black Women Speaking Truth and Healing Wounds, and it features stories by myself and 14 other ladies from Sacramento and beyond, and they're sharing their experiences. Women from different walks of life, different age groups, different socioeconomic status, but I think it's because the topic is so universal, and it has reached it's an issue in the Black community. And I will say I want to clear up the misconception that it's about male bashing, because it really isn't. That's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do with daddy issues. It really is. It's a wound that impacts the African American community and has for a long time. So I say it's time to rip the Band-Aid off and let it heal, and that's what it's about. So anyone who would come and pick up the book, please do, would learn that you're not alone. You know, if you're dealing with issues, that there is healing.
Yes.
Healing is possible.
So, is this book for both men and women?
Yeah, I would say so, because, like I said, it's something that impacts us all, right? And so I would hope that men could get something out of it. I mean, I've had men come up and say, hey, you know, I am, you know, here. And it's like, I am a good dad. And that's good to highlight, too. And so I always say, imagine what you're doing for your children and what they get out of that. Now imagine a child that doesn't have that.
Yes. So where can we find this?
You can email me, but we're also on Daddy Issues Anthology at gmail.com, and we're also on Amazon.com. We've also been in Underground Books here in town, which is a great local Black bookstore. And one of our contributors, Dana Maisha, she has All Things Literacy and more, I believe, in the Florence Square.
Florence Square, absolutely.
That's right. That's right. She's awesome. And so the book has been in there as well. She has an awesome piece about having her father was present, but he was dealing with some drug addiction at one point, and how that impacted her and her life.
So here's a question. Have you ever done a book signing at Florence Square?
No, I'm just waiting on the invitation.
So the invitation is here.
Okay.
We just got to make it happen, okay? Just got to make it happen, okay? So here we go. We are doing a little segment called One Last Thing. So give us one last thing.
Buy the book. We're also thinking of doing volume 2. It is like letters, writing letters to your dad. If you had a chance to write a letter to your dad, so you can submit or just email me for submission guidelines. Daddy Issues Anthology at gmail.com. I'll give you all the information.
Wonderful. And this is Aaron Boyce with Square Biz Podcast, signing off.
Your bachelor's degree as well as a teaching credential.
Thank you.
Please contact me because I want to make sure that we get some of the targets.